Marvin, obviously the biggest fight of your career, at least dollar-wise, maybe it's the biggest fight of your career in any sense. Have you prepared for it from the time you knew it was signed, it was going to happen? Have you prepared for it any differently than you have for anything
I
else?
thought about it a lot this morning, you know, and I've been prepared all the time, you know, just waiting for the actual day and the moment. I think I've been preparing for this one really all my life.
Have you changed your mental preparation for it? Is that really what you mean?
No, I think my mental preparation was ready to. It was geared up. It was ready to go. It was just basically just getting the body motivated, you know. And once Leonard had put his John Hancock on the paper, automatically everything started falling in place.
The fact that that finally that document was signed, there was going to be a fight, it seemed that it went beyond it being a big fight, a lot of money. The fact that it was Ray Leonard really was the thing that made the difference for you. There's an obvious resentment. Is it a personal dislike of Ray?
I think the personal side would come from him. You know, I think because basically he's on an ego trip, he's probably a little jealous of the way I've been looking. You know, he should be on the other side sitting where you're sitting at still. But after I finish with him, I don't think he's going to have a job anymore. That's the way that I'm looking at it. As you know, I'm just going to do what I have to do. I forgot to answer a little bit there. I went off a little bit.
You know, I think back to the night in Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
And it seemed to me, Marvin, that was such a deflating and in some ways degrading experience. Have you held a bitter resentment since that night?
No, not really. You know why? Because of the fact that I made him retire without even throwing a punch. And, you know, if it was anybody less than Marvin Hagler that was next, Leonard would have fought regardless. But I think just by Marvin Hagler being there, that made sure I'm not ready for a hard fight, and I don't want a hard fight, and that was it, you know. And I want to go out looking, smelling sweet and everything, which is a normal way for anybody to go out. I think that was the way. I felt as though at the time that I went there as a spectator, really. You know, they had Muhammad Ali there, and they had all these. It was a moment, I thought, in the sport of boxing. And it was something for me to analyze if the day came for me to be in that position, how to handle it, and to, you know, to look at the whole situation. So I was more or less a spectator with that. I brought my wife down with me, and we looked at it. I had funny feelings that most likely he was going to say that he was going to retire. But I felt as though if he retired, that it would only do one thing for me. It would just mean that I'd have to take more fights just to add up to get more money, where instead of just one big fight in order to make the money. But in this case, I think that it worked better for me. It kept me active, you know, it kept me hungry still, and still keeping the thought in the back of my head of, you know, staying ready for if he does come out.
Well, you've referred to the reason you think he's fighting as the fact that he's on an ego trip. When you knew that this was going to happen, did you see his reason in those simple, stark terms that the only reason he's doing this is for an ego trip? How do you? Why
well, nobody. You know how
Ray
Ray plays games. He plays games, you know, and you know I think it's, you know what it is. It could be that 30-year crisis. You know, it's like a woman. When they get 30 years old, then they wonder, what am I going to do now? What's my career looks like? You know, they start panicking. I remember my wife did. I mean, when I turned 32, you know, I mean, when I was 30, I felt that little bit too. It does bother you. I mean, and by being a man, not as much of it does a woman, but it's something that am I secured? Should I, you know, I feel I'm too young to retire. Retirement, in my terms, meant I had to think that you had to be 65 years old in order to retire, you know?
As you approach this now, here it is literally minutes away in terms of our telecast. Can't wait. What in your mind's eye is going to happen? How do you see the fight going?
I'm going to stop him. I don't know which round it's going to be in. I'm going to stop him. I feel as though this is my turn. If anybody can understand what I'm trying to say, I believe this is my era, and this is my turn. In order for him to keep going, it was like this, the way that I look at it when I was running on the road this morning. You know how there's no shortcuts to success, okay? But at the end of the line, there's always a stop sign. And if I had to go straight, I had to go there. There's the stop sign. So, Julie, you're going to still meet the same point at that time. And that's the way I see it. Because just like Joe Louis says, you can run, you can hide, but them shortcuts, sooner or later, you just ducked a couple, but you're still going to have the same whooping coming because it's meant for you.
You've said that he needs you to have a satisfying career, to have a satisfying huge fight. Do you need him for your place
Sure,
in boxing?
I think it would work both ways. It does work both ways, you know. But now that it was my time, I still could have kept going on without a Leonard, you know. But the way that I felt, I would like to prove it to myself that I know that I can whoop the man. And I think for him, it's probably the same thing too, because I've been haunting him for years, the name Hagler. And by being on television and by watching me and the people coming up asking him about me and all this, he probably got fed up with it. He got tired of it. And that was great for me. Basically, the best thing that ever happened was to keep the faith and knowing that something good was going to happen for me, because it says things come good to those who wait. And I've been waiting, I tell you, for a long time. And like I said, I think that this is my time, this is my era, this is my day for me to shine.
If it is your era and you win the fight, the temptation will be great to go after Monzone's record.
Yes, because if it happens and Leonard cooperates with me and goes out early the way I anticipate, then I can move on and then put my focus on what I want, and that would probably be to break the record of Carlos Monzon. That would mean that I don't really need the money, but as you know, every one of my opponents that I fought has all been #1 contenders. So will they give me the opportunity to pick and choose which one I want, or will they strip me, you know, because I won't fight a #1 contender? How come they let all the other fighters fight anyone that they want to fight, and only me, when I decide on fighting someone, they strip me? It doesn't make sense, you know. I'm surprised they let Leonard. There was a bunch of stuff. That's the only reason why, because he's not a #1 contender. But he's got the recognition, and he's a champion, and it should be a legit match. And that's why I waited to see what was going to happen as far as the organizations and as far as the health program and everything, and everybody gave him the green light. So there's no reason for me going in there and destroying this man.
Marvin, he's not the same fighter he was 5 years ago. We'll find out how different he is when the fight begins. He thinks so.
He thinks so.
But one thing he is for sure is a lot bigger man. That's what everybody's been talking about this week. Do you think his being bigger will change his style dramatically?
Well, I've been in there with bigger guys. The last guy I got through could knock a hole through this wall here. That was Mugabe. And, you know, I've been in there with bulls. You look at the Rodans. You look at, again, the Mugabes and the Hamshaws. You know, I've been in here. The size ain't going to mean nothing. I seen him bigger when he fought Kalui. He did slow down a lot there with Kalui even. To me, I look like hoping it's an advantage to me, you know, because I regulate the same type of speed and everything, and hopefully that I'll have my speed and also the power.
Should we be watching round #1 with great attention the first few seconds?
You better sit there and get your popcorn early. I told you, your beers and whatever, and sit tight, because this fight don't necessarily have to go 12 rounds.